Ladies and gents, boys and girls, what is up? Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023. Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, your host of the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. It has been a wild morning on this side of things, running around, running different errands, if you will. I reminded myself why I normally save my errands for the afternoon because we have been, again, running around like crazy. Literally just sat down to get this thing rolling, but we take a deep breath, and now we are here. I see Chase Floyd, Brennan M., John Edward, G.A., Austin Lewis, Ethan K. What's going on, guys? Appreciate you all tuning in. Jeremy Smith as well, starting us off in the comments. Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord. Head over to the TDC Questions channel, the TDC Questions channel, to be sure your questions are answered there. Guys, got a packed show, lot to get into. Really excited to chat with you all here on this Tuesday. Of course, in our third hour, we have our Q&A Power Hour. We'll take all of your questions, your comments, your calls as well at 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. In our second hour, our good friend JC Sherbert of the Big Spur, he will join us. Really exciting stuff to update us on Gamecocks football, SEC, everything in between. Of course, we'll talk scrimmage from Saturday. We'll talk the status of Juice Wells, Trey Knox, and others. Going to be a really exciting conversation. And, of course, also recruiting, as literally next week, Daniel Hill will make his decision, the four-star running back. Obviously, that is a highly sought-after prospect. And due to the fact that we're not going to be live next week, we'll talk to JC about that and get his thoughts ahead of the commitment next Wednesday, August the 23rd, when Daniel Hill will make his announcement. Of course, guys, in this first hour, we continue along the position unit preview series, talking Gamecocks linebackers here on this Tuesday. We'll wrap up that conversation, guys, tomorrow, and Thursday we'll talk defensive backs. And then Friday, we will conclude the position unit preview series and really conclude our preseason content as a whole as we talk about the Gamecocks specialists, kickers, punters. It'll be a little bit of a short, condensed position unit preview series, but of course, we'll highlight those guys on Friday, give overall grades, all that good stuff, and that will take us into the weekend. Of course, no TDC next week, guys, because yours truly going to be out of town, going to be out of the state, going to be out of this time zone, everything. We're taking a week to decompress, take a load off, reset before kickoff in the 2023 season takes place. Really excited for that, guys. Also, TDC looking a little bit different tomorrow. We will be live 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time. So set your alarm clocks, set your clocks early, grab your coffee, what have you, and join us on TDC. We'll be rocking and rolling in the morning. I think Chris Marler is set to join us at 11:15 tomorrow morning. So we're going to shuffle some things around, but yours truly, again, we're going to hit the Atlanta Braves game tomorrow night. Going to go check out the Braves and Yankees with my guy. Going to be a really, really good time. Haven't been to a Braves game in a couple of months, so looking forward to that. Going to be a good one, but obviously with getting on the road, travel, everything else, needed to get TDC out of the way early. Either way, I know you guys will be here. You guys will roll with the punches, and I really, truly do genuinely appreciate that. Also want to give a quick shout out to University Traditions for this sick cap. They sent me this one and a garnet front panel and the black trucker, but I really like this hat, the rope palmetto hat. Be sure to check out University Traditions. Appreciate those guys. And check out tsus.store. Guys, I will tell you this. I would say we don't have a set date right now, but I would say, number one, the sooner the better. But number two, if you order by next Wednesday, August the 23rd, we can guarantee by kickoff delivery. If you order any later than that, you very well may get it, but it's not a guarantee. So do yourself a favor. If you know you want the Beamer Ball merch, the Beamer Rattler, the Clem Sucks, Shane Storm, whatever the merchandise is, go order it today. Just go ahead, get it out of the way, get your order in. That way you have it by the time toe meets leather on the 2023 season. No need to wait, guys. Also, the Beamer Ball towels are still available. The koozie bundles are available. We got the Beamer Ball Tervices now, the cups, if you will. So really exciting stuff, guys. Merchandise is rocking and rolling. And I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you for your love and support on the merchandise side of the minute business. I see Braddock game. Y'all are pumped up. Y'all are fired up. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get in the conversation, guys. We continue talking Gamecocks linebackers entering the 2023 football season. Who is the best of the best? The creme de la creme of the linebacker position at the University of South Carolina entering the 2023 football season. And as we've talked before, this has been a position that, as much as it's been an eyesore over the years, it's been a bit of a deficiency for the Gamecocks defense. It has been one that, despite that, you could always bank on there being a guy or two that stood out, especially having that dude. There was always that one guy that stood out. Ernest Jones, TJ Brunson, Sky Moore. Those are just a couple of the names that come to your attention first over the last couple of years. While I'm not sure that this group has that dude that's quite on that level, at least yet, because, you think about the greatness of Sky Moore and how great he was of a ball hawk at linebacker, and Ernest Jones, a tackling machine, and TJ Brunson, a physical specimen in the middle of that defense. I'm not sure that South Carolina's top-end talent quite matches that, but I do think this unit, we'll talk more about this in a sec, I think this unit is much more well spread out across the board, where it's not such a talent drop-off after the first guy. That being said, there is one for me that stands out among the rest. There is a guy in this room, and I think there's a couple different people you could make an argument for that should be labeled the best overall linebacker in the 2023 season. But just because he was injured a season ago does not change the fact that this man is the leader of the Gamecocks defense in the middle. He is one of the most important leaders in the front seven. My best overall linebacker entering the 2023 season is none other than Mo Kaba. And I understand, right? You look at the numbers, they're not that impressive. 53 total tackles over the course of his career. But you have to factor in last year, the injury in going out in game 2. Mo Kaba was a guy who was heavily depended on going into last season. Was looked at as, in a room that you had Sherrod Green, Brad Johnson, you had some other veteran pieces. I think Mo Kaba was the guy who was looked at as most likely breakout candidate, if you will. A guy that was looked at as, hey, this dude is going to burst on the scene and emerge as one of the top. Not get to see that injury. People forget that Mo Kaba was a very highly regarded prospect coming up. Champ did was signing Mo Kaba and getting him to come to South Carolina. Muschamp Packers. I do apologize, guys. Anyways, we will see if there is a step lost or if his game in any way, shape, or form takes a step back due to the ACL injury. But you heard Clayton White talk about these are guys that are born to be linebackers. These are guys that they're bred to be linebackers. When you look at a linebacker and you define a linebacker, you see these guys. I think Mo Kaba is one of those guys. You got to replace your top tackler in Sherrod Green at the linebacker position. Had over 70 tackles for you a season ago. Brad Johnson, I believe, just under 50 tackles for South Carolina in 2022. I look at Mo Kaba as a guy at that middle linebacker position, the middle of that defense. We've talked so much about the rushing defense, that needing to improve, take a step forward. For that to happen, you need a guy like Mo Kaba to live up to his billing. Again, I love what he has in regards to speed, athleticism, size as well. Like, he's got the perfect hybrid of that physicality, but also being athletic enough to keep up with these, new age offenses, these spread offenses, if you will. Because you have to have both, right? No longer is it 3 yards in a cloud of dust and it's all about just wearing a neck roll and being a big physical imposing guy and playing downhill. And, there aren't many James Seawrights trotting around out there, right? There aren't many of those. Kalimba Edwards trotting around out there. It's about being or Jasper Brinkley's better yet trotting around out there. That athleticism side is important. I think Mo Kaba has that. He's got the physicality as well. 53 career tackles. I would expect him to shatter that number this season for South Carolina. And you look across the board, nice players, nice pieces, a lot of talent. Debo Williams is a veteran guy. Stone Blanton, a nice young piece. Grayson Pup Howard, we've got high hopes for, obviously. But when you look at the room, there is one that stands out amongst the rest. There is one that you look at and say, we need you to emerge and to be our leader. It is Mo Kaba. Guys, that being said, we're going to go ahead and keep the conversation rolling here. And on the note of Mo Kaba, on the note of the linebackers, we're going to dive into what will define success for the Gamecocks linebackers this upcoming season. And we talked a lot about this, as I told you late last week. While it felt like we were sort of beating up on the defensive line about the rushing defense and the poorest numbers, and I'll remind you one more time, 198 yards per game allowed a season ago. Outside of the top 100 in rushing defense, one of the worst in the SEC. But it's not just on the D-line. As much as we love to pick on them, and they shoulder a lot of that load. Shane Beamer's pointed out multiple times, it takes all 11. And it takes this linebacker core. In the 4-2-5 scheme that Clayton White operates, that 2 is very, very important. And over the last couple of years, the linebacker position has not held up its end of the deal. I mentioned it with the front 4. I mentioned it when talking Gamecocks defensive line. It's only fair that we judge this group the same way in regards to stopping the run. So first thing, top 90 rushing defense, which was the exact same goal I set out for the defensive front. But again, defensive line, linebacker, they all play a part in slowing down the run game. As we've mentioned before, if you can't slow down the run, not stop the run, if you can't slow down the run, you can't win many football games in the SEC. And as the talent of this group increases, I still think it lacks the depth it more than likely needs, but as the talent increases, the results should improve as well. I mean, there's just no excuse for the poorest rushing defense to continue. As the Shane Beamer era progresses and you improve the talent in your front 7. As I mentioned before, you lose 6 of your top 8 tacklers in regards to snap count in your front 7. Addition by subtraction. You're adding guys in that have maybe some more talent, higher ceilings, and they're your guys, quote unquote. I heard that a lot from, you hear that from different fans, but certainly Gamecock fans. Wait till Shane gets his guys. Well, those guys are coming in. Guys like Stone Blanton, Pup Howard, Jerron Willis out the portal, those are his guys. The numbers should follow suit and improve as the talent improves. Top 90 in rushing defense. It's doable from the front 4. It's doable for your linebacker position. It's doable for this Gamecocks defense to finish top 90 nationally in rushing defense. Now, looking specifically at this room, what'll spell success? Well, first off, Mo Kaba having an injury-free 2023. Obviously, last season, injuries are what derailed his chances at having a productive season. And it's one of those things, guys, and obviously just a bad luck type of situation where Mo Kaba gets run into, tears his ACL, his season is done. You've got to cross your fingers, not just for him, but everyone across the board. You got to cross your fingers that dreaded injury bug does not strike you, does not hurt you, especially at positions where maybe the depth is not exactly what you would like it to be. Mo Kaba is one of those pieces that for this unit to have a successful year, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to have an injury-free season. Avoid the injury bug. Stay on the field. The best ability is availability. And unfortunately, that was not the case for Mo Kaba a season ago. As long as he stays healthy, I believe in this guy's ability. I believe in what he can do with this defense. I believe he will be linebacker 1 for South Carolina. Just got to remain injury-free. You know, veteran presence is really important when talking about a football team, a position unit, what have you. Debo Williams is a guy that admittedly, guys, is someone I have not been all that high on during his time at South Carolina. Fairly or unfairly, you looked at, okay, this Delaware transfer, let's see what he can do. And it's been a mixed bag, but, especially last year, I thought he played much better football for South Carolina. But he's got to take it to another level this year. Again, you lose Sherrod Green. You lose Brad Johnson. Who's going to fill in? Because I know Sherrod Green was a guy that, God, it felt like he spent 15 years in Columbia, and his career was very shaky at times. Let's call it for what it is. But had a solid season a season ago. Again, over 70 tackles, nearly 80 tackles on this football team. Brad Johnson, a guy that made plays for you. And also Sherrod Green. I think had 4 or 5 tackles for loss. Like, he was an active player for this Gamecocks defense. You then look at Brad Johnson, really athletic guy, making plays in the backfield, if you will, flying around the Gamecocks defense. Debo Williams is a guy. When you've been here as long as he has, now it's time to emerge into that leader role. Now it's time to You're too veteran of a player to be a liability for this defense. You're too veteran a player for you to be a deficiency for this defense. Having his best season yet in Garnet and Black, if Debo Williams can maximize his potential, he's used to the SEC speed now. That's not going to give him any issues. If he can maximize that, have his best year in Garnet and Black, it is going to spell massive success for this Gamecocks linebackers room. You then look at some of the younger players, Stone Blanton. I need to see Stone Blanton emerge as an impact player for South Carolina. I'm not telling you he's got to be all SEC. I'm not saying he's got to be an All-American. But this is a dude, had a recruiting profile, I think, very similar to a Pup Howard. Had a very sparkly recruiting profile, right? Extremely highly regarded by the recruiting services. Everybody wanted this guy. Played as a freshman last year. And as we talked about yesterday, it was a mixed bag of results, right? At times, you saw flashes of why he was so highly regarded. At other times, the freshman growing pains. Most notably, the Florida game, a guy where he's out of position and you give up a 75-yard touchdown. The rest is history. How much was Stone Blanton able to learn from that 2022 season? Take what he learned and apply that in this year. He needs to emerge and take that next step as a player. He has the talent. He has the skill set. And as I mentioned before, this is one of Shane Beamer's guys. You're getting your guys in here now. As these years go by, I'm not saying it's got to be completely flipped this year, but as we get into year 3, year 4, year 5, those Muschamp players are going to be going out. And this is going to be a roster constructed of all of Shane Beamer's handpicked prospects, transfer portal guys, what have you. Stone Blanton's one of those dudes. There are hits and there are misses in recruiting. Stone Blanton needs to be a hit for South Carolina. When you look at the rest of the linebacker room and what you have, he needs to be a hit for the Gamecocks. Right now, probably factoring in at that number 2 spot, right behind Mo Kaba. Stone Blanton's got all the talent in the world. He needs to emerge, take what he learned as a true freshman, the licks that he suffered, the growing pains that he dealt with. We've heard good things. He's improved his speed. We know the physicality's there. Obviously, needs to stay healthy. We heard he got a little banged up in the Georgia game, banged up the shoulder. He's fine, good to go now, though. But Stone Blanton is a guy that I look at in that linebacker room. Again, fits the mold of a middle linebacker, just looks the part. He's a guy that he wins when he gets off the bus. Now we've got to see it on the field of play, week in, week out, being an impact player on a consistent basis. One of the sneakier transfer portal pickups in the SEC and for Gamecocks football was that of Jerron Willis, the four-star coming over from Ole Miss. Spent 1 year there, obviously, but was a four-star prospect in recruiting. So a highly touted prospect. If Jerron Willis can just provide you with quality depth, guys, I think you take that. I think you take that. This is a dude that, we're not hearing a whole lot about. We didn't hear a lot about in spring or hearing in fall camp, what have you. But this is another SEC body. And you talk about depth, and depth's been a concern for this room. And, depth has given them problems. Jerron Willis is a guy that I believe can provide quality depth, real SEC depth, because that's something this group is lacking. We'll get to there more in a second. That's something this group is somewhat lacking. Jerron Willis is a guy, a very highly touted prospect, again, the four-star prospect. If he can just give you quality depth coming over from Ole Miss, I think you'll take that and you'll chalk that up as a win getting him out of the transfer portal. And finally, guys, what will define success for the Gamecocks linebackers? You didn't think I was going to go the whole show without talking about him, right? Grayson Pup Howard, the true freshman, and living up to his potential. Now, I'm even trying to be careful with myself. I'm trying to kind of talk myself down because it's and I'm not going to back off what I've said that Grayson Pup Howard, he's got freshman All-SEC written all over him. I mean, this is a guy just looks like a linebacker. As Clayton White was saying, he's meant to be a linebacker, bred to be a linebacker. He looks the part. But he is a true freshman. And, we saw a guy like Stone Blanton last year that there were growing pains. There were absolutely growing pains, man. There were things that he had to learn, adjusting to the SEC speed. But when you look at Pup Howard, a guy that's made himself a fan favorite already to this point with the way that he's recruited on social media and, wanting to get on campus early and be a part of bowl practices and, just seems like he loves being a Gamecock by all accounts. But then you look at the talent, and that's a great reason to love Pup Howard and what he brings to this Gamecocks defense. When you talk about the next great linebackers at South Carolina, I think Grayson Pup Howard is a name at the top of that list. Big physical kid. I mean, you look at the pictures of him in preseason. I mean, this dude looks like a junior or a senior. Does not look like a true freshman. And based off reports and what we've heard, he doesn't play like it either. I think if Grayson Pup Howard, can live up to his potential. And what does that mean? That might mean something different for you or for I or for someone else. I think being if I had to guess, let's put a number on it, a 30 tackle guy. So somewhere between 20 to 30 tackles. If he can do that, I think that's a really solid freshman season for Pup Howard. Right now, battling Debo Williams for that weak side linebacker position. And, of course, it's Mo Kaba and Stone Blanton who are battling in the middle. I think Grayson Pup Howard is going to push for reps and push for reps early. And I'm talking like week 1 against North Carolina. This dude has undeniable talent, undeniable ability. He loves being a Gamecock. But most importantly, on the field, I think this is a dude that, again, freshman All-SEC, written all over him. And I think this could be one of the stars for South Carolina on a team that Shane Beamer's made it very clear they've got to depend on young guys, youngsters making big plays. I think this is going to be one of those guys. And finally, guys, this wasn't even in my notes, but let me add this. When you talk about success for the Gamecocks linebackers, we've mentioned Mo Kaba, Stone Blanton, Debo Williams, Pup Howard, and Jerron Willis. Those are 5 guys. And in the 4-2-5, hey, that gives you 2 deep at every single position. But what else do you get from this group? Because I've mentioned 5 guys. There are 10 total players in this room. Are you able to get something? Just even develop depth for the rest of the room. A guy like Bam Martin Scott, who's played football for you. He's played for you, right? Has shown flashes, but never anything sustainable. Colin Bryant, Andrew Colasurdo, Ronnie Porter, Jamian Risher Jr. I mean, do any of these guys see significant playing time? Especially those 4 that I mentioned, Bryant, Colasurdo, Porter, and Risher Jr. Are they SEC quality? Are they SEC bodies? Are these roster fillers? I have no idea. Are you able to develop one of those guys? God forbid, can you develop 2 of those guys? Are you able to get something out of that room? And if you can, I think this is a room with tremendous upside, tremendously talented young players. And I think if you can develop those guys, it'll spell success, not just this year for the linebacker room, but for years to come as well. Guys, let's go ahead and jump into a quick break. On the other side, I want to keep the convo rolling here on this Tuesday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also sponsored by Rhine Law Firm, LLC, principally managed by James R. Rhine Jr., located at 1350 Ashley River Road, Suite 650, Charleston, South Carolina, 29407, serving the greater Charleston area.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Really excited to be chatting with you all. As I mentioned, guys, some changes to the Daily Crow schedule. Tomorrow, TDC will air 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time because we'll be hitting the road in the afternoon going out of town. So we're going to rock early tomorrow. Wake up early, set your alarm clock, get your coffee, whatever you need to be rocking and rolling with us, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern. Chris Marler is set to join us at 11:15. So that means our Q&A Power Hour is going to be in hour number 2. And I'll go ahead and throw this out there, by the way. If you guys feel like you can't bring the heat in the morning, if it's too early for you, if it's too early for you, we could just ex-nay the Q&A Power Hour tomorrow. But I know there's some of you out there that will have questions for us, comments, calls, whatever it might be. Guys, also, we are gearing up for week 1, the TSUS post-game call-in show. After the game against North Carolina, cannot wait. And after every single football game this season, it is going to be electric. I'll probably post a teaser graphic out on social media, probably say later today. It'll be pretty simple. It'll actually look very similar to the TDC graphic that you see, the thumbnail that you see on YouTube, I should say. But it's going to be electric, man. I can't wait. The crowds are going to be wild. The calls are going to be nuts. And, man, I mean, really, when that takes place, just brace yourself because who knows what might happen. And again, guys, one more reminder. No TDC all next week, Monday through Friday. The podcast will drop, though, Monday through Friday. We got special guest interviews with folks such as Chris Doring of SEC Network, Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast, my guy Brett Cianci of Pick Six Previews, Dave Shoemate of Mach 10 Sports, as well as some others also. It's going to be an electric week, guys, on the podcast side of things. Make sure you head over to iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that subscribe button. Again, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Hit the subscribe button also on YouTube so you can stay up to date what we're up to. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live, when we drop new video content as well. And again, appreciate each and every single one of you doing so. Brad Perkle said, Chris, why are you such a pessimist? LOL, JK, don't go off. Keep on keeping it real. Brad, I appreciate you. Breaking, what's up? That being said, let's conclude our conversation talking Gamecocks linebackers as I hand out my overall grade, looking at this unit heading into the 2023 football season. A much maligned unit over the years. I've described it as an eyesore on a number of different occasions. And I would say that accurately describes what South Carolina has felt at the linebacker position. You know how other schools, it's like their defensive back you, their quarterback you, their running back you, their wide receiver you. One thing I would not say about South Carolina, if I had to rank the best positions over the years for Gamecocks football, I don't know what it is. But linebacker has just never been one that South Carolina has really been able to land elite talent at. And if they do, you know, it's one player or two players. It's not really a complete room of great linebacker play. Now, you go back to early 2010s, you're talking Jasper Brinkley, you're talking Eric Norwood, you're talking Shaq Wilson, you're talking Rodney Paulk. And South Carolina's had their fair share of top-tier guys. Sky Moore, TJ Brunson, Ernest Jones. There have been others sprinkled in there as well. But as a collective, as a whole, for whatever reason, this unit has struggled. This unit has been a deficiency. It's been nearly, I would say, every single year it feels like we come into a season and it's like, what's the weakness of the defense? The linebacker position. You know, we put so much blame on the defensive front, on the defensive line for not stopping the run, right? Why are we ranking 11th or worse in the SEC the last 5 seasons in stopping the run? Why is that? Has the defensive line underachieved? You bet your ass it has. It absolutely has. But the linebacker position, it hasn't been very good. Just call it for what it is. It has not been very good. And I don't really understand why that's the case. Maybe it's because there are a limited number of those type of players in recruiting, a limited number of elite linebackers on the recruiting trail. And you've got to find guys that fit your scheme, fit your system, fit your defense. It's not as simple as, oh, you play DB, go play DB. You know, when you factor in like the spur position or the jack position or whatever you want to call the different positions, what have you, the roles of the middle linebacker, weak side, you got to find the right guys. You got to find the right pieces. When you look at this year's group, I thought it was so interesting what Clayton White said a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to paraphrase, but when asked about the linebacker position, while being respectful to guys like Sherrod Green and Brad Johnson and those veterans who have now departed, he described their games and things they did well and the value they provided to the football team, but then stopped and said, but these guys we have now, they're born to be linebackers. They're bred to be linebackers. I mean, you look at them, they look like real, legit linebackers. And I don't think he was taking a shot at those guys that left, but I think he's recognizing that, number one, he feels really good about his linebacker room. At number two, that while you maybe lost some experience, we've talked about it before, guys, right? Like, experience is a great thing, but would you rather have that 5th or 6th year guy that's just kind of average? He's shown you what his ceiling is. Or would you rather have a young, inexperienced guy, but he's got NFL caliber talent? He's got talent, all SEC, all American caliber talent. I think it's very apparent that Clayton White feels really good about his linebacker room. I think he looks at his linebacker room based off those comments a few weeks ago. And while he acknowledges the value that guys like Sherrod Green and Brad Johnson provided, when he's saying things like, these guys, man, they just look like linebackers. Like they were bred to be linebackers. When he's saying things like that, I think he's recognizing, hey, we lost some experience, but we are far more talented now, with all due respect. This is a room, guys, that, you know, admittedly, I think it still lacks that true SEC quality depth across the board. You know, I mentioned in the last segment, obviously, you know, it's a good place to start with guys like Mo Kaba, Stone Blanton in the middle, and then go to the weak side, Debo Williams and Grayson Pup Howard. But the fact that one of your top 4 linebackers, I mean, just look at that weak side spot, is a true freshman, I think it screams to the depth or lack thereof in this group. Again, guys, I mean, there are dudes like Bam Martin Scott, Colin Bryant, Andrew Colasurdo, Ronnie Porter, Jamie and Richard Jr. that I'd never even heard of those guys, half of them, until I did the roster breakdown. Probably won't even see a snap this year. So you're basically depending on 5 guys. You're basically depending on 5 guys. I think Mo Kaba is a great place to start, right? Love his game. I talked about it earlier. I think Mo Kaba, by all accounts, he's 110% healthy. I think he can be a big-time player for you. He was looked at last year as being the leader of this group. That was with Brad Johnson, Sherrod Green, some of those others that left. He was looked at as being the leader of the group, set for a breakout season. I think he can have that this year. I think Stone Blanton is a very talented guy. Just 7 tackles last season. Got his feet wet. Had some growing pains. But I think we all know, again, when you look at that recruiting profile, as long as he's developed, I think Stone Blanton absolutely has the talent to emerge into a big-time guy for you. You look at Debo Williams. Is the ceiling quite where a guy like Blanton or Pup Howards is? I don't think so. But Debo Williams last year, I thought, turned into a solid player for you, which is saying more than what you had in the past. You go to Jerron Willis, the Ole Miss transfer. What will he give you? We haven't heard much about this kid. He didn't play at Ole Miss, but was a 4-star prospect. But you feel confident, again, that's an SEC body that can provide quality SEC depth that you're looking for. And then Grayson Pup Howard, guys. Maybe the most talent in the entire room. Freshman All-SEC written all over this kid. So I see what Shane Beamer and Clayton White are doing. We see what they're doing in recruiting. The talent, I think, is improving in this room. But it is a slow process. It is a gradual process. And as the talent improves, I do feel as if the numbers should improve also. Give me the young guys like Grayson Pup Howard and Stone Blanton who, you know what, maybe they have to learn the fly, but they've got immense talent. Give me those guys over my 6th and 7th year veterans who, man, they've shown me what they are. I know what they are. They're average players. I'm not singling out anybody in particular. I'm just saying that as this talent rolls in, I'm all for giving these guys opportunities. With that being said, I think this is a room that I don't know that you have that one standout guy like a Sky Moore, like a Ernest Jones, like a TJ Brunson. I will say, however, I think the talent is much more spread out across the board. Like, you don't have your top guy and there's this huge drop-off. I think Mo Kaba is the best overall, but I don't think it's by a crazy wide margin. I think it's Mo Kaba, and then everybody else is kind of right behind him. Maybe Grayson Pup Howard is a step below because he is a true freshman, and he's got to get used to SEC football. But I think by mid-season, at the latest, this is a dude going to be playing a lot, making an impact. What this room still lacks, though, is quality depth. Depth is still a major concern. And you guys have probably heard me over the last couple of weeks talk about the linebacker position. I feel really good about the future of this position. I can see this position group improving at South Carolina. I can see the talent that's rolling in. And I think when you look at, number one, I think the return of Mo Cobb almost does this de facto, but there may not be a position group on this team that could have more of a turnaround from not just last year with the previous couple of years to this year. I think this could be a group we look back on end of season and say, man, for the first time in a while, our linebacker position wasn't total trash. Our linebacker group wasn't a deficiency. Our linebackers weren't the eyesore they have been because we've increased the talent. We've increased the depth. We added some elite playmakers in that room. I think for the first time in a while, you'll be able to look back and say that about this group. However, with that being said, there isn't a standout guy in this room going into the season. Mo Kaba, we have high hopes for, but he comes off the ACL injury. Debo Williams, solid player. I don't think he's anything more than that. Stone Blanton, all the talent in the world. Showed flashes last year, but he's got to take a major step forward this year. He's got to be more instinctive. He's got to be quicker. He's got to be more disciplined. And then Grayson Pup Howard, extremely talented, but he is a true freshman. And I mean, I feel like I had very similar hopes for Stone Blanton last year, and there were a lot of growing pains associated. Will he have as much? Will he have less? Will he have more? And then Jerron Willis providing depth. But outside of that, guys, there are question marks. I think depth is a concern. I'll tell you this. The linebacker room or the linebacker position group is one that you look across the SEC, there's some damn good rooms. There's some studs across this league. South Carolina, they're not at that level yet. I think they're moving in the right direction. I think trajectory is going the right way for this group. But right now, going in the 2023 season, I grade the Gamecocks linebackers at a C overall grade, which I think is very fair, guys. This is a group that, middle of the pack in the SEC, maybe 10th or 11th best, 9th or 10th best, you could convince me. Now, I think they could finish much higher. I think this group could absolutely finish much higher. But do you have an all-SEC guy this season in that room right now? I mean, is Mo Kaba going to be that guy? There's even question marks for him coming back from injury. God forbid an injury hits this group. You don't really have the depth to withstand it. And I think when you're depending on a true freshman to make the impact that I think we're all looking Grayson Puppower to have, I think that shows you the depth issues that you have in the linebacker room. So it's getting better. The talent's improving. The numbers should improve. I really, truly believe, I think we'll look back on this season and say, you know what? The linebacker group, I can see it. I can see what Clayton White's building. I can see what Clayton White's doing. I can see the improvement happening because the talent is increasing. But in regards to high-quality SEC depth, in regards to being where you'd like to see this group, they're not quite there yet. But I think they're on the way, and for those reasons, I give the Gamecocks linebacker position heading in the 2023 football season a C overall grade. Guys, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into another break on the other side. We'll take some of your questions and also get ready for our friend JC Sherbert of the Big Spur. He'll join us at 1:15. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also sponsored by Rhine Law Firm, LLC, principally managed by James R. Rhine Jr., located at 1350 Ashley River Road, Suite 650, Charleston, South Carolina, 29407, serving the greater Charleston area.
Muscle doggy ho.
All right, what's up, guys? We're back here on this Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As you notice, we have somewhat of a gap here between JC Sherbert and our next piece of content. So we'd love to hear from you guys. And also was thinking about this. I did not plan this segment today. But you know what's a fun segment? It's very fun when people give bold predictions. Like what's your hottest takes going into the 2023 college football season? So I'm going to give you 3 or 4, maybe 5 of my hottest takes, my boldest takes for South Carolina football entering this upcoming season. I have no notes written down. I'm going straight off the dome. And let me clarify, by the way, I'm not saying these things are 110% going to happen. I'm saying these are things that are admittedly a very bold take, somewhat of a hot take that could happen. I'm not saying they're 100% going to happen, but right, they're a bold take. So try to follow along. Some people are going to take it. They're going to hear it and say, you said this was going to, like, what? This goes against this. This goes against that. It's a bold take. It's called that for a reason. So let's rattle off some bold takes here. I've got one right at the top of my head. My first bold take is this. Lenoris Sellers will start a game at quarterback this year for South Carolina. Notice I didn't say which game. I didn't say if it was going to be the bowl game or a game early in the season, late in the season, mid-season, whatever. But Lenoris Sellers starts a game at quarterback. Number one, I could very well see a scenario. Let's say the Gamecocks go 8-4. I could very easily see a scenario in which Spencer Rattler has a great season. Stats are impressive. You know, South Carolina's 8-4 again. Maybe you beat Clemson again. And he's made up his mind. I'm taking the next step. I'm going to the next level, getting ready for the NFL draft. Could very well see that scenario, and he decided to opt out of the bowl game. At that point, who do you go with to start the bowl game? Are you going the veteran Luke Doty, or are you going the quarterback of the future, Lenoris Sellers? On the flip side, I'm not trying to speak this into existence, guys, but I'll just say this. With South Carolina's offensive line, and if they can't protect Spencer Rattler any better than, let's just say they did last year, who's to say he doesn't get banged up for a drive or two, or maybe even more? I know that early in the season, Luke Doty is going to be the first guy that trots out there, but how about midseason? How about late season? And what if Spencer Rattler has to miss a game? Is it going to be Doty hands down that gets the ball? Is it going to be Lenoris Sellers? I could see a scenario, and that's one of my bold takes. Lenoris Sellers will start a game this year at quarterback for South Carolina. My second bold take, Dakereon Joyner will have a 5-touchdown game this year, and it will not all be rushing. 5-touchdown game for Dakereon Joyner. What game is it? I have no idea. Most likely Furman or Jacksonville State or Vandy or one of those games where I could see South Carolina running it up offensively. But I could see Dakereon Joyner doing sort of kind of what Debo did a couple years ago, where it's like he has 2 rushing, 1 passing on a trick play, 2 receiving. Maybe he's got 1 receiving and 1 special teams. I think Dakereon Joyner has a legacy game at some point. I don't know which game it is, but I could see it happening at some point. Another bold take for me. Mitch Jeter misses a kick this year. That's a bold take. He went 11 for 11 last year. That's a bold take going into this season. Went 11 for 11. So Mitch Jeter misses a kick. He might only miss one, but he's going to miss a kick at some point. I think it comes this year. Another bold take for me. South Carolina beats Tennessee in Knoxville. I'm not changing my pick before the season. I still think it's a game that's going to be very difficult for South Carolina to go into Knoxville and win. But I don't know, man. Like, maybe we're making too much of the revenge factor. Maybe it doesn't matter all that much. And like Tennessee having a sold-out stadium, it's like, who cares? Tennessee's pissed off about last season. Who cares? Tennessee wants revenge. Who cares? Like, that stuff's fun to talk about right now in preparation and like, bulletin board material. But, once the ball is snapped, what difference does it make? It doesn't make any difference. You got to go play the game. And so I think Shane Beamer could show that he's got the leg up on Josh Heupel in that ball game. I think that he could show, hey, we got this Tennessee offense thing figured out. Spencer Rattler, he's got Tennessee's defense figured out. Doesn't matter if we're playing you at Willie B, at Neyland, how pissed off you are, if you got playoffs in the line or not. We got your number. And that's a huge game. On a side note, that's a huge game, honestly, for that reason. Because if Shane Beamer beats Josh Heupel again, all of a sudden you're like, okay, year one was rough, but 2 in a row against you. Now what? Like, now what can you say? Now what can you say? The hot take for me, guys, and the bold take, I should say, DQ Smith leads South Carolina in interceptions. I think he's a ball hawk back at the safety spot. I think DQ Smith is a guy that I think he'll emerge as sort of that ball hawk in the back end for the Gamecocks. Here's a bold take for you. Juice Wells does not lead South Carolina in receiving. Now, that's a really bold take. But could Xavier Legette steal the show? Could Trey Knox have a breakout season at tight end? Could Nicholas Harbor? Again, it's called a bold take for a reason. And my final bold take, I'll go with this, and then we'll get to some of yours. My final bold take. South Carolina finishes in the top 100 in rushing offense and rushing defense, which would be a fantastic achievement considering all of the things all the question marks that you have on both sides, probably more than last year. If you're able to overcome, finish in the top 100, I think that would be a hell of an accomplishment, truly. So, hell of an accomplishment. Let's see. Let's get into some of yours. Let's get into some of yours here. Some of your bold takes for the season. John Edwards says, hot take, South Carolina beats Clemson, Kentucky, Missouri, and Mississippi State. Okay, I would take that in a heartbeat. Brad Perkle, DK goes for 1,000 yards this year and gets drafted. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Ben Rosa, 5 touchdowns against Clem sucks. He says, Gauthier gang. Colton Gauthier, man. Lynn Turner, if we have to burn Sellers' red shirt this year, that means we had a bad year. Austin Lewis, special teams touchdown against North Carolina. I could absolutely see that. Yeah, could absolutely see that. Yep, no doubt. Bruin Nation, Here's not a bold take. Beamer flies off on fans after a shitty loss. Find some damn joy, people. That's not a hot take at all. Dude Raw for show. Amarian Brown scores the first passing touchdown in the game against North Carolina. Okay, I like that one. Michael Lynn says Rattler will be a Heisman candidate. You'll notice this, by the way. Most of the bold takes I gave you, if not all, were on the positive side. I could go the flip side, go the other way. I don't know, man. I don't even really want to go down that path. Really, truly. I'm not sure I want to go down that path because I think there are some things that, the season could get sideways. And I'll tell you guys this as we sit here again. We're waiting for JC Sherbert. 1:15. He will join us on the show. I cannot wait to get into our game week content, breaking everything down, talking these key matchups, position unit advantages going into each game. That's something new I think we're going to be doing. Yeah, really, really excited for it. So, and I think you guys will really, really enjoy the new content. Some of the new things we'll be doing, our weekly guests, of course, daily guests, if you will. Jay Hall, are you done with the Sim Series? No, tonight we take on Clemson, the final game of the regular season, and we killed Kentucky last night. So we sit 7-4, finished 5-3 in SEC play. A chance at an 8-4 season is on the line. We got the Clemson Tigers tonight, 7 o'clock kick. We'll post all the links, of course, on social media. And I'm going to go in and reinstall the college football revamp mod. So that way, hopefully, we avoid any of the freezing, the issues that we had over the last 2 nights. So want to make sure that this one doesn't freeze up. I expect we'll have a really, really big crowd of this one to watch these games tonight. And it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. But yeah, really excited, guys, to start talking an actual game, breaking things down. We will wrap up, of course, the position and preview series this week, talking defensive backs tomorrow and Thursday. And then Friday, we'll talk kickers and punters as we will close the book on preseason content heading into the 2023 season. And guys, let me say again, thank you all so much, man. The continued love and support, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible, truly, what we've been able to do. And you guys are, fired up, tuning into all the content, consuming everything, supporting on social media, supporting the merchandise side of the business as well. It's truly a blessing, man. I can't say thank you enough. I mean, guys, just to give you all some perspective, last month we celebrated shattering our all-time podcast downloads record for a month at 64,140 podcast downloads in the month of July. Just to give you an idea of how well we're tracking this month. Just to give you an idea of how well we are tracking this month. We had 64,140 in the entire month of July. We are at 51,662 downloads. It is August the 15th. We're at over 51,000 downloads at the halfway point in the month of August. So we are tracking for 100,000 downloads, which, obviously would set a record and would be an incredible milestone for us. And again, it's all because of you guys. I cannot say thank you enough. Your love, your support, you guys staying engaged with the content all throughout the preseason. I know things get slow right now, but our talking season starts to wear on us. But you guys have stayed engaging, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I can't say thank you enough. Let's see. Mendoza, not so bold take. Sunbelt Billy gets fired immediately following a loss at Willie B. I don't know that they're going to they're going to pay $31 million to get him out of there. I don't think so. Brad Perkle says it makes you want to cringe, but if we were to lose a heartbreaker to UNC and then come out flat and drop the game to Furman somehow, my guy, I'm all about bold takes. That one might be a little bit extreme. Not going to lie to you. That might be a little bit extreme, my guy. A little bit extreme, Brad. But I like where your head's at. I respect it. I respect the bold takes, my friend. I respect the bold takes. If I were going to go bold in the first half of the season, and see, I'll go bold both ways. South Carolina starts 5-1 on their way to a 9-win season. That's bold. On the flip side, people they won't like to hear this, but I tell you, man, it just will not surprise me. If South Carolina loses to UNC, is kind of sluggish again. Like, Furman won't matter. You won't be able to beat Furman by enough. Here you go. Here's my bold take, and we'll jump into a break. If South Carolina starts out the way I've predicted, 2-3 in the month of September, 0-3 in SEC play, that week following Tennessee, you're going to hear chirping from a small number, but you're going to hear chirping from some Gamecock people that I don't know about this Shane Beamer guy, which would be wrong, by the way. Would be the wrong take, but I would not be stunned. Either way, we'll see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, guys. We're going to jump into a quick break. On the other side, my good friend JC Sherbert of the Big Spur, he'll join the show. We'll talk Gamecocks, SEC, and more here on this Tuesday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. The Daily Crow is also sponsored by Rhine Law Firm, LLC, principally managed by James R. Rhine Jr., located at 1350 Ashley River Road, Suite 650, Charleston, South Carolina, 29407, serving the greater Charleston area.
That's your Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023. Again, want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. He joins us each and every single Tuesday to talk Gamecocks, SEC, everything in between, and there is a lot to discuss as we sit just 18 days away from South Carolina football, only 11 days away until SEC football returns when Vandy takes on Hawaii in Nashville. JC Sherbert of the Big Spur, he joins the show. JC, what's going on, my friend? From Studio South, by the way, I might add. What's up, man? Great to chat with you.
Not much. Good to be back in Columbia. It's hot, obviously, here, but with the way the living situation's coordinated now, I get to stand up and do this thing on the show and with you and any other guest appearance I have. So it kind of gives me a little more energy. So hopefully I'll bring a little more to the table with these segments while I'm in Studio South. But, yeah, things are really good. Got into town this morning. Certainly thrilled to be back. And certainly you can feel the humidity outside, but also some excitement because Gamecock football is right around the corner.
And, JC, let me say this as well. You always bring the heat, my friend, and you are right. It's been bit of a scorcher this has been one of the hotter Augusts I can recall. This really truly feels like the quote unquote dog days of August. And I know those guys going through fall camp, they're feeling it, they're dealing with it. I was actually listening to another show. They were talking about Alabama fall camp and receivers are dropping passes. They're like, dude, it's 100 degrees everywhere. Hands are sweaty. Everybody's wide receivers look bad right now, but it's hopefully in a couple of weeks we're cooling off. We're getting into football weather. And let's talk a little bit football, JC. We'll get into the scrimmage stuff in a second. But the AP Top 25 drop, just wanted to get your thoughts. South Carolina just on the outside looking in. They received 73 votes. Their week one opponent, North Carolina, ranked 21st. And the Gamecocks, as of right now, will face 5 preseason AP Top 25 teams. Your overall thoughts? I wasn't totally stunned, JC, that South Carolina was on the outside looking in. I thought they could maybe sneak in at 24 or 25. But your overall reaction to the AP Top 25 that dropped yesterday?
Well, I mean, South Carolina, I could make a case for the Gamecocks over a lot of the teams that are listed. Don't get me when you do comparisons team to team. But would I say generally, South Carolina is definitely a lock to be a top 25 team in general without doing the work? No, probably not. Which shows me these guys don't do the work. I mean, they just kind of – I think they're very attracted to brand. I think in the case of North Carolina, they're looking at the Drake May draft hype. They're not looking at the fact that, North Carolina lost how many games in a row to end last year? Didn't look really good doing it. Drake May didn't look really good doing it. I don't know. Did they rank North Carolina when Mitch Trubisky was getting all the draft hype? I'm not sure. But Iowa, is Iowa going to be able to cross the 50 this year? You tell me. I don't know.
How about Texas A&M at 23, who went 5-7, loaded with talent, but went 5-7. So.
I don't know. I think their win over LSU sort of the fact they lost close games. Is Miami in the top 25, by the way?
I do not believe so. I know Oklahoma's at 20. That's the other one that kind of surprised me a little bit. That one surprised me a little bit.
Miami would be an absolute joke because they not only went 5-7, they got blasted. A&M at least was halfway competitive on the scoreboard. But
yeah, Miami is not listed. Miami is not listed.
How much mileage are they really getting with, the win over Oklahoma State? I think they're 91-19 in Bedlam all time, and a close loss to FSU. Notre Dame's ranked really high. They always are. People say that. I think Sam Hartman, though, Sam Hartman's a more proven quarterback than Drake May, guys. I mean, they're in the same league for how many, Drake probably has more upside, but I get why Notre Dame's kind of high. But I don't know, man. It's like we were talking to Mike Morgan today on our show just now during the Power Hour segment, Chris. And once you get past 4 or 5, there's no difference. Shake them up in a box. And these days, I think probably subconsciously because of the expansion talk, brand matters. I think there's certain people out there too that don't like the SEC. I mean, you can tell by certain. I'm sure they're AP voters, but they're national guys. They're constant tweets, taking shots at the league. You can tell they don't like them. So they're not going to sit there and vote them in. I mean, it's the same reason that a few years back you had Clemson claiming that they won. Oh, we beat 3 top 15 opponents. Oh, who? Well, NC State, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. Yeah, those teams had really good records, right? They were 9-3-ish, 8-4-ish, and maybe Auburn was 7-5-ish. But Auburn would have beaten the brakes off of any of those teams. Auburn's not ranked as high, so that kind of. I think you got a lot of that with the AP poll and stuff, and I'm not saying anything, because South Carolina's not ranked. It did not disappoint me. It did not surprise me. I really don't care. But looking at some of the other teams, I'm like, well, how did this team get left out? And then this team's in there. And I just don't think a lot of people do their homework with it. And I think it'd be easier if you just let a computer pick the preseason poll and leave the human screw-ups for the playoff committee, right?
Yeah, you are right. The AP poll, the preseason top 25. What does it all really mean? Because half those teams in the top 10, it seems like year after year finish unranked anyway. So I'm sure with this crazy year of college football upcoming, I think we'll probably get more.
It means you and I have content, man. That means we don't want to sit here and talk about the reserve left tackle or whatever,
Yes. But we're going to do that anyways, JC. No, I'm kidding.
Of course.
So we're getting to the point of fall camp, JC, where obviously the Gamecocks scrimmage once on Saturday. They'll scrimmage again this weekend. That one will be at 7 o'clock at Willie B. Shane Beamer will next speak to the media. I believe it is this time next Tuesday. I think 1:30, his afternoon press conference. Then either way, let's go to the scrimmage on Saturday. Things that came out of that, of course, Shane Beamer speaking to the media. And as is this time of year, JC, I mean, the rumor mill and things start to leak and nothing's a secret, right? Like nothing's a secret. I don't care how hard you try to keep it so. Nothing's a secret. How much of a story do you think this Juice Wells thing is? Because I know Shane Beamer, he seemed, fired up, a little bit on edge. He seemed midseason form, typical Shane Beamer we all know and love. Hey, injuries happen. It's not DEFCON 3. This is football guys back. I don't think fans, though, were in the wrong for worrying about the status of probably the best football player on this entire roster. One of the most important football players. I mean, a key piece of the offense. So there's been, and then of course, Juice Wells puts out a tweet yesterday. I'm not good. I'm great. How worried should fans be? How much of a story do you think this actually is? I mean, it's something that we're going to be paying attention to over the next couple of weeks, but how do you evaluate this situation with Juice Wells overall?
I agree with everybody on this. I agree with Shane. It's not the end of the world, and it never is, with one guy, no matter how good that guy is, especially at a position like receiver where you've got other guys. I also don't blame the fans one bit for panicking at the least little bit of injury, and that's what happens. Look, Beamer is not special when it comes to injury disclosures. Okay, he's not unique. He's not one of a kind. He's not a trickster. I think everybody got used to Steve Spurrier and his just brutal honesty and open practices and all that. And then Muschamp comes in here and shuts it down. And injuries under Muschamp were always an adventure because everybody was used to getting told, what it was. And say, but he was like, nah, those are state secrets, right? I'll never forget in 2020, poor Xavier Legette, I thought he had just been benched. And we hadn't seen him since Vanderbilt. And Mike Bobo gets the job. And then somebody finally asked about him, right? What about Xavier Legette? Oh, Xavier's a really good player. We really like him a whole lot. Unfortunately, he had a season-ending injury against Vanderbilt, and he's out for the year. So he doesn't suck. Oh, good, and of course he doesn't. But I think people have a little PTSD for that. But Beamer's going to do what he feels is in the best interest of his program as far as divulging that information. And I don't blame him because every single college coach does the same. Same thing. Now, does it work strategically? I don't know. I sort of wish they'd go to like an NFL system where it's like out, probable, questionable, probable. At least give people an idea. So, I agree with him, Scott. I agree with fans worried that, hey, it's going to be worse because, there's been some injury situations in the past that have lingered, especially with really good players. Going all the way back, Chris, to when was it? 2004? When Demetrius Summers had a high ankle sprain. He suffered against Georgia and just wasn't really the same the whole year. So it's going on about 20 years. So these fans have been through that before. So I don't blame them. Number two, when you start winning and you have the moment South Carolina did last year, expectations get a little bit higher, right? And so South Carolina's still not there where they could just roll out another All-American at receiver. This is not Alabama circa 2020. This is not LSU circa 2019. And so you're like, that's such a big time piece of the puzzle, and the expectations are high. They freak out a little bit more because, well, wait a minute. Should we adjust our loftier expectations? Wait a minute. We've been looking forward to this year all since the end of last year, And so I think that has a little bit to do with it too. And then finally, people don't need to tweet. They don't need to tweet at recruits. They certainly don't need to tweet things like, hearing bad things about practice. The opener is going to be way more interesting than we thought. I mean, I'm like, well, number one, you're not in the top 25 and your opponent is. You're an underdog. Okay. It's going to be more interesting. You probably having your best player out could probably mean you lose instead of win. So people don't need to tweet things like that. And I know somebody's buddy from over at practice called somebody and they didn't have all the details. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And somebody runs to Twitter. And that's fine. Because I understand it's a very passionate fan base. You're not gonna plug those leaks. I would just say that you're not doing the program any favors if you don't have all the information. Like I would have rather them just come out and said, all right, Juice has this specific injury. He's expected to be back by then. But this type of injury lingers, and so more realistically, it's like then, period. Do it like a report, and everybody has the facts. And yeah, people are going to be pissed because you leaked it, but at least the facts are out there. But did this whole, oh my God, that's what causes, because people have imaginations, right? And so that's the take on that. So all right. So here's what I think. I think Juice. I think there's probably more better than 50% chance he plays against North Carolina. I think, though, and this is going to sound weird, Chris, if he does not play against the Tar Heels, I don't expect him back until Georgia, because that would have meant the injury was serious enough to hold him out against the Heels. You don't want to re-aggravate it against Furman, who you should probably beat, and they probably week 3. Trey Knox was the other injury people talked about. Obviously, he's back in practice this week. I think he'll be fine.
Now, JC, spinning this into a positive, I know that you guys, excuse me, talked about it on your show earlier today, the Inside the Gamecocks this morning, the development of the wide receiver position with Juice Wells out, because we know for a fact he's not practicing this week. Can you talk about maybe some other guys? I know Xavier Legette, they've mentioned multiple times, had a great summer. Nick Harbor continuing to come along at that position. Amarian Brown was a name that Shane Beamer dropped. Are there other guys you're hearing about? Omega Blake also we're hearing is having a good fall camp. Are there other guys that maybe, spinning this into a positive that because of Juice Wells' absence are able to take advantage of the opportunity, and guys you're hearing are, flourishing in fall camp with maybe more reps and more opportunities?
Yeah, I think Xavier Legette, it's kind of been established since the bowl game, and then you often hear about players having great off seasons, and Xavier has had a great off season. Chris, a guy has a really good summer in the weight room and working out. It doesn't always translate. But I've always thought Xavier had, a little bit of rarity because he's so big and he's fast. I mean, he's the kickoff return against A&M will show you that. And I think he can carry the ball from scrimmage pretty well too. So he's got a lot of a lot of traits you really look for. I think he's got good hands. I think he can. Toward the end of last year, he started making like one tough catch a game, and all that, and so he can go up and get the tough one. So I think he's going to have a good season. Now, how good is good? Is it going to be 7 catch, 2 touchdown a game good, or is it going to be, Jalen Brooks and Josh Van good? Because I think one of the most understated points of the offseason is replacing those 2 guys because they were, whereas Juice was the number 1 target, Jalen Brooks and Josh Van made a lot of plays those last 2 games. So is that the deal? Amarian Brown, I know I harp on this. It may come down to player usage with this guy because I never understood why in the world they didn't just drop back and chuck him one deep because, like, most of his record-setting touchdowns at Georgia Tech as a true freshman were on go routes. I mean, he's a littler guy. Sure, he may get jammed at the line of scrimmage, but if he runs by the DB, it's a touchdown. So, and they only did that a couple of times. They did it against Arkansas, where apparently they tried a lot of things that they never went back to until Tennessee. But he looks pretty good. I saw some tape from him. That was kind of some of the public tape they had put out. Looks like he's gotten a little thicker. With his speed, he can do some damage. So Leggett and Brown. I think Eddie Lewis from Memphis, who was, his stats aren't going to blow you away, Chris, but he was productive last year and also productive with big plays in the return game. Fast kid, New York City kid, kind of got a little mojo to him. Elijah Caldwell as a freshman really has looked good. I could start a rumor and say Luke Doty, right? Just kidding. I tried to do that earlier. Omega Blake, I have heard good things about. So, and then I almost hate that Kelton Henderson has been injured because Kelton was a guy coming in that a couple of my contacts told me like that guy can do some things that a lot of our guys can't. Of course, he's 160, smaller guy, but I was curious to see him as well. So I think. And then you throw the ball at tight ends too. Josh Simon, I think is going to be really good. Trey Knox is going to be really good. We'll see about the rest. Connor Cox is a name that keeps coming up in my conversations and all. So we'll see what happens. But those are the guys that you hear about. It would almost. I would have liked, in a perfect world, for Carolina to have like maybe one more, stud guy that you knew was a proven stud. But hey, they got Eddie Lewis out of the portal. Maybe he is a stud. Certainly has his moments. So we'll see what happens.
JC, other than that, Shane Beamer mentioned offensive line play, guys shuffling in and out, relying on youngsters. He also talked Spencer Rattler, his growth as a leader. I think it's interesting, talking about like the turnovers because fall camp is so tough to judge. Same way with a spring game, right? Because it's like, okay, we've decreased the turnovers, but that means the defense is forcing less. But if they start getting a lot, well, the offense is turning it over a lot. So it's like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it in between? Anything else you heard from Saturday's scrimmage specifically that you thought was notable information, something that jumped out to you, or just a main takeaway that you think is sort of a focus point for you going throughout the rest of fall camp?
I'll tell you this. How many fall camps have South Carolina since I started the Big Spur? 17. I always want it used to be concerning, Chris, during the Spur era. Everybody thought fun and gun. Here we go. First scrimmage had happened. Spur would look distraught, like somebody stole his bucket of chicken or Miller Lite or the 7-Up can full of vodka or whatever liquor he had in there or whatever. Somebody stole his golf clubs, whatever. Gosh, from the defense. Give credit to the defense. Give credit to the defense. Give credit to the defense. All right, so and they were disasters. I mean, half of them were open, and they were open disasters. They couldn't get a playoff. And then, next scrimmage, he'd close it up. And you'd hear, oh, well, they went up and down the field today, you know. And then by the time the season kicked off, if it wasn't one of those early years where they tried to figure out their offensive line combo and couldn't figure it out till later, I mean, the offense was always fine. So through the years, I've always looked for, and even like the good Carolina teams, like the Connor Shaw teams and stuff, defense was always ahead of offense. The only 2 years the defense has not been ahead of the offense, where you heard from every scrimmage, offense went up and down the field. 2014 and 2020. Now, 2014 was a pretty good offense. 2020, not so much. Both those defenses were atrocious. And so I always feel better because I've seen the offense struggle against the defense early and be okay. But when the defense is struggling in fall camp, you have serious issues. Like you have serious issues. Unless you go back like the 96 Gators when Spur's offense got the best of Stoops, and he's like, don't worry, Bobby, you're not going to play anybody as good as us. So anyway, that's at South Carolina, the rule of thumb, no matter how frustrating it is, and no matter how everybody wants to see the scoreboard lit up, you don't want that. You want the defense to be ahead of you want the offense to look sort of like a dumpster fire because the defense is ready to get after it and so disruptive in that first scrimmage. Now, if things don't change, that's different. But I'm pretty sure they will. And a nice, normal back and forth usually means pretty good season around here.
So good to hear then. The defense is ahead of the offense. Let's move, JC, as South Carolina continues preparations. Obviously, you know, this weekend, I know you probably won't be there, obviously, but things that you're hoping to hear from Coach Beamer after Saturday's scrimmage. I mean, I know he doesn't speak until it's closed up. There's no media availability. He'll speak next Tuesday. I mean, I would imagine kind of finalizing who you are as a football team should be priority number one, right? Because you're about to start preparation for UNC and really getting your game planning for this season. Saturday feels like a really important scrimmage for this football team.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons there's no media availability is they've got to get together and figure out who they're going to coach. And so a lot of people don't realize this, Chris. Like when Jake Bentley took over as the starting quarterback against UMass in 2016, for example, he played pretty well. They won. He had only practiced like 5 times since the season had started with the quote unquote varsity, like the starters and all that. He's on scout team. And that's what you do. You divide your roster up and you assign a bunch of people. And scout team goes away and their scout team. They work on the other team all week. Now they dress out and they'll get in games sometimes and stuff like that. And then they have, I think in the Sunday night practices, they practice those guys rep-wise, like with a normal bunch and scrimmage a little bit. So that's what's happening right now. It's not a cut like an NFL roster, but it's a, hey, here are the guys we're going to coach and get ready and give the reps to in practice, and here are the scout team guys. So there's a lot of – it's almost like a final cut in the NFL. They got to discuss all that. And that's important, and it comes quickly, and it happens after 2 scrimmages. And so that's what's going on there. I would like to see the offense kind of rebound. I'd like to hear some good things about the run game with the running backs, frankly. But I also would like to hear more about some individuals on defense. I want to continue to hear good things about JC Gear. That's hard to say. JT. Beamer called him JT, so I think I'm going to call him JT. JT Gear, the transfer from Syracuse, and also Jordan Strawn. I think if Carolina can get those 2 rolling and have 2 really good defensive ends and some depth there, that could make a difference. Curious to see how Pup Howard plays coming back from injury and all that, with the linebacker position. And so, my guess is right now on August 15th that South Carolina's defense is going to surpass expectations early, going to surprise some people. Cole Kubelic said something like that the other day. They're like, yeah, people just – they go Rattler and Juice and these guys, and they kind of just swipe left on the defense. But they got some good players. I mean, and if you think about it, Chris, if O'Donnell Fortune and Marcellus Style play like they're capable of, David Spalding returns to the nickel position. He's obviously a playmaker when he's healthy. You got 2 of the best safeties in the country. if Clayton White's comments on the linebackers were correct, I have no reason to believe that they're not. And you find two ends and get some depth, and you got Travian Robertson and his method of coaching, which you're familiar with, coaching up the D tackles this year, a lot of movement, versatility. Yeah, South Carolina could be a lot better on defense than people maybe want to say they're going to be this year.
And they're going to need him, JC, because obviously you look at that first half of the schedule, and I'll get your thoughts on that because we talked about that a little bit yesterday, just about that slow starts have somewhat haunted South Carolina over the last couple of years, specifically in the Shane Beamer era. Do you think there's something to that, or is it, you're looking too much into it and it just kind of happens by chance that you get out of the gate sluggish? Because you look at last year specifically, JC, I mean, Georgia State was ugly. Arkansas, you got pushed around. We all know what happened against Georgia. Even Charlotte and SC State, like those games were really sloppy. Do you think is that just kind of a one-off, or is there something that goes into that you think that like they need to focus on this, or this needs to be better for South Carolina to get off to a fast start because they cannot afford that slow start again? I mean, you've got Furman week 2, but outside of that, it's 4 really high-quality opponents you're taking on in those first 5 games, and the Florida Gators, your 6 games. So that first half of the schedule, you can't afford a slow start this season.
Man, we all could be sitting here like really, really sad, and it's after 6 games. I mean, if you think about it, that's life in the SEC, though. I mean, that's just.
I mean, JC, to your point, last year, Carolina started 4-2, and it was the most like empty feeling 4-2 ever. You know what I mean? Like the Kentucky win was nice, but you were like, we're 4-2 and we have not played a game worth of crap yet. Like it doesn't, or like, especially when you were 3-2 going into Kentucky, you were like, we've beaten Georgia State, Charlotte, and SC State, and we haven't played all that well. And we are more than a third through the season. Like, you know what I mean? So
as everybody watched that line for the Kentucky game come down and down and down, they realized Levis wasn't playing. They're, there we go. My opinion is that the defense will be better, and obviously defenses early in the season tend to be ahead of offenses anyway. And I think I'm not guaranteeing 2019 LSU here, but I think a lot of the issues with the offense that you saw early in both years is going to be fixed. Has already, let's just put it this way: it's already been fixed. Like I said, not play calling, offensive coordinator, whatever. That does not mean they're going to go out there and put up 500 yards and score 40 points. That means some of the crap that you saw, like the glacial paces, the lack of personnel use, the reinventing the wheel every week. The one guy, Juice Wells catching 9 for 190 against Arkansas, not getting a target the next week. You're not going to see any of that. That doesn't always mean results, but it's going to make more sense, And I think when you're trying to deal with that kind of when you're an offense, it's hard to even chalk it up to, well, that's the first game. We're going to get better each game, because you're really going out there trying to do something completely different and foreign to you every single game. I don't think it's going to be the case this year. So I think if they do start slow, obviously everybody's going to go off on Dowell Loggins. Poor guy. But I think this year, if they do start slow, you'll see consistent improvement. As long as the offensive line just isn't kind of like Kentucky's last year, which was just bad. I don't think it will, because South Carolina can always throw caution to the wind and just play their freshmen. That's not ideal, but if you're running into a talent issue where you're overwhelmed, it's like again, God, I've quoted Spur here so much today, but he's like, I'm just gonna put that big guy out there and let him get in the way. and you're really not gonna have to. You're not going to have to give Spencer that much time. You have to give him time, but not that much time. So I'll put it that way.
JC Sherbert of the Big Spur. JC, this will be the last time we speak on these airwaves until game week, because, of course, we'll be out of town. Of course, we'll talk to you Thursday on Inside the Gamecocks, but out of town next week. the next time we speak here on these airwaves, it will be game week. So excited to finally start talking about an actual game on the field. It'll be Tuesday of Carolina and UNC. You see what I did there. Final thing, though, you talk Steve Spurrier. I know you guys mentioned this a lot on your show today. Two things. The Alshon Jeffrey number retirement, which I think is well-deserved, and also I don't know if you saw, I quote tweeted this morning, though. You guys were talking about Steve Spurrier. Has it been long enough to kind of heal the wounds, I guess, and honor him? I think absolutely 110%, JC, because my thing is this. Shane Beamer might get there, but for right now, Steve Spurrier is the greatest head coach in the history of University of South Carolina, and it's not even close. I think it's more than time to honor him. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think you named the field after him because Florida's named the field after him, and his high school's named the field after him. And his name is on the practice facility, the indoor facility. So I think you do something for him, though.
I think a statue is fitting, honestly.
Statue would be fine.
I
wouldn't have any problem. I'd like to see a statue of Steve Spurrier on one end and a statue of the man in black on the other. And I'm not. Unfortunately, the Will Muschamp man in black thing didn't happen. So there's two men in black, but only one with that would light up a Marlboro after he lost and go to shake Vince Dooley's hand with the trucker hat. I'd like to see that. And as far as coaches go around here, because, Spurrier, although he did resign with a 2-4 record in the middle of the season, there's been very few that have gone out on their own terms from this job. And he won 86 games. People said he couldn't. You can't do it. Could have won a lot more. They were that close, and it showed you the potential the program had. Nobody's ever done that before, particularly in the SEC era, where you're playing. I mean, it's big boy football. So I'd like to see something. I think a statue would be fine. And I don't know. Spurrier came. Beamer got the Steve Spurrier first year head coach award back in after 21. He came to a basketball game and gave him the award. He's like, "I'll shoot you, Gamecocks." Gosh. So he's around, and I think now as we're starting to see Alshon honored and Clowney honored and all these people, it's enough time has passed from that era. It's about 10 years now to where, it's time to start really honoring those guys because, they were very significant. And I think they have laid a lot of groundwork for Shane Beamer, really for Will Muschamp too, but for Shane Beamer to kind of, people don't have to sit there and say, oh, last time South Carolina was, good. There was a war being fought in Europe or something. It wasn't that long ago. So I think that's the point.
Well said. JC Sherbert of the Big Spur. JC, appreciate you taking the time. Looking forward to joining you guys later this week on Inside the Gamecocks, and excited to get to game week for week 0 as Vandy takes on Hawaii, not this weekend, but next weekend in Nashville. College football's back, my friend. I appreciate you. We'll talk later this week.
See you soon. Thanks, Chris.
JC, appreciate it. Great stuff from JC Sherbert. Electric conversation, as always. Guys, that being said, we're going to keep the convo rolling as we dive into our Q&A Power Hour. I want to hear from each and every single one of you over at 843-790-3377. You can call that number, text that number. You can leave your comments in the YouTube chat as well. Either way, we're rocking. We're rolling here on this Tuesday as we jump into this break. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. Daily Crow is also sponsored by Rhine Law Firm, LLC, principally managed by James R. Rhine Jr., located at 1350 Ashley River Road, Suite 650, Charleston, South Carolina, 29407, serving the greater Charleston area.
Muscle Dougie, Hello Dougie,
All right, guys, we're back here on this Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Love that. Just drop the mouse on the floor. Again, we are back on this Tuesday. Appreciate you all tuning in. With that being said, our Q&A Power Hour has officially begun, and I want to hear from you. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377 here on this Tuesday. Get this quote, by the way. Offensive players are speaking to the media right now. Western Illinois transfer and current Gamecocks offensive lineman Sidney Fugar had this to say when asked about his mentality entering the upcoming season. Quote, "No prisoners. Nobody's touching my quarterback." You love to hear it. You love to hear it. I hope he can, fulfill that But you love that attitude. You love that mentality on the offensive line. Let's see. Lynn Turner says, Spurrier checked out way before he left and has turned his back on us. I don't think Spurrier cares what we think of him. And there are a lot of fans who will never forgive him. You know, I don't think Spurrier cares either, Lynn, but that doesn't change any of the good he did on the field. Bruin Nation says this, those people need to move on. He did way more good than that one bad thing. I just look at it this way, man. I just say my greatest memories ever as a Gamecock fan came when Steve Spurrier was the head coach. I mean, and he did things at South Carolina that nobody except maybe the most diehard Garnet Glasses Gamecock fan thought were possible. So, dude, for what he accomplished, 3 straight 11-win seasons, I think you got to recognize that, man. All-time winningest coach. Got to recognize that. Jeremy Smith says, got 2 things to say. Should we bring back the battle gray uniforms? And is garnet the best color of all time on a uniform? The all-white combo is sick. Is garnet the best color all time on a uniform? I mean, I like it. I mean, it's debatable, but I like it. Yeah. Garnet's a beautiful color when it's done correctly. Justin, what's up, man? He said, what's up, TSU gang? To hell with the Tar Heels. Real Carolina lives in Cola. Gamecock Fanatic says, hot take, Carolina will be the top 3 in the SEC in passing offense this year. My brother tuned the show. What's up, my brother? What's going on? Let's see. John Edwards says, probably going to miss next Friday anyways, because after work next Friday, I'm going to Kingstree, see my younger brother and my sister-in-law. Great stuff, John Edward. Bruin Nation, I'm blown away at the people who hate Spurrier so bad and want to forget he was ever our coach over him quitting. Yeah, it sucked, but that one thing doesn't override all the great things he has done. Bruin Nation, I could not agree more with you, my friend. I understand that the breakup wasn't what you'd hoped it would be. I get that. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge the great things that Steve Spurrier did at South Carolina. I'm distracted here because I'm looking over at the dogs. And our little Yorkie is just licking our other dog's face just relentlessly. And he's just sitting there taking it. Like, that is one of those, how am I supposed to chip with this going on, Doug? That's one of those moments. You know what I mean? That's one of those moments. Some weird little guys. Some weird little pups. Let's see. Brad Perkle says, I agree. Without Spurrier, I highly doubt there's even a Clowney, Lattimore, Alshon, and the list goes on and on to even talk about. Indeed. Yeah. Some of the greatest Gamecocks of all time probably aren't Gamecocks if there's no Steve Spurrier. Brad Perkle, I feel like Shaq Wilson is a very underrated linebacker in Gamecock football history. I think so as well. Ethan K says, this would be the year a star linebacker emerges. Have the pieces there to be special and need them to step up with the pressure being on Clayton White. He's going to be coaching them up big time. I could see it. Yeah, listen, I could see that. My guy, Southern LJ20, what's up, man? Let's see. Keeping it rolling here on this Tuesday. 843-790-3377, guys. Again, 843-790-3377. As we sit on this Tuesday. Just got the linebacker grade graphic from our guy, Eric Reese. Shout out Reese Creative. The man, if you will, Spur Daddy says, my bold take is Mitch Jeter hits a 50-yard field goal as time expires and Carolina beats Georgia 28-27. Wouldn't that be something? Hey, from your lips to God's ears, my friend. From your lips to God's ears. Austin Lewis, I do not really play Madden. I'm not a huge gamer, Austin. I'm really not. You know, I'm able to detach and hang out and do different things, Austin, but when you run your own business, I don't know, man, it just doesn't really feel like I don't really have a whole lot of time to kill to sit around and play video games and you know what I mean? So, and if I do have time to relax and I don't know, I like to do other things. So I like video games though. I like video games. I really do. Jacob Altman says Kai Kroger throws a passing touchdown in Charlotte week 1. Okay, now that's a bold take. I like that. I like that. That is a bold take, and I like that. Kai Kroger with a passing touchdown in week 1. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Peyton.
Peyton, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. How about yourself, Chris? What's going on, man?
I am doing fantastic, my friend. I appreciate you asking. What's going on?
So, to keep up with the topic of Spurrier moment, what would be your favorite all-time Spurrier moment or favorite Carolina moment under Spurrier?
That's tough. There were a lot of good ones. I mean, I got to say my favorite Spurrier moment or favorite moment of that era, I mean, I have to say the 2013 Clemson game. I was at that game, and I'll just never forget, you know, the feeling of beating them for the 5th time in a row and leaving the stadium. And I mean, that was an all-time feeling. I mean, really, truly. So also 2013 as a whole, that was my first year ever having season tickets. So being there for every single home game, I mean, I think that, yeah, that was during the home winning streak, right? You know, Connor Shaw won 18 in a row at home and you know, didn't lose a game at home all year, obviously, in 13. So that was just a really fun season. But that 2013 Clemson game, man, again, leaving the stadium 5 in a row, I thought Carolina was never going to lose to Clemson again. And funny enough, they didn't beat them again until last year. But that was an electric season, electric time for sure.
Absolutely, man. I think it comes down to 3 for me. It's either, like you said, that 2013 Clemson game with was it Brandon Wiles that sealed it?
It was, yeah. It was the trick play, Pharaoh Cooper to Brandon Wiles.
That's right. So yeah, I'd put that up there. I would put probably 2012 Georgia, and you know, obviously 2010 Bama. You know, defending national champs, number 1 team in the country, coming into Willie B and catching some of that ass whipping.
Yeah, that 2010 Bama game was special for sure. I unfortunately was not in the building for that one, but a lot of special moments in that Spurrier era, man, no doubt.
Yeah, and I might just be a little optimistic airhead Carolina fan here, but I really wholeheartedly believe that Shane Beamer is going to do everything in his power to exceed what Spurrier did under here. I really do. I think he's going to exhaust every resource that he possibly can to get this program to the next level. So I got good faith. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely agree, man. And I think it helps that Shane Beamer, you know, was a part of that staff that did it back in 2010, and he knows what it takes. He knows what it looks like, and I think that's only an asset for him. So, and selling that to prospects, to recruits, that, hey, I've been a part of it. I've seen it. So, you know, again, I think it only helps, and excited to see what that looks like, man. Excited to see what that looks like.
Absolutely, man. Well, you know, it starts with winning these all eyes on me games, like UNC week 1, and winning these primetime games where a lot of people are watching, having those signature moments. And Shane Beamer's already got a couple under his belt and just 2 seasons played. And I think he's gonna have more come the end of this season too.
Indeed. Like I said, that UNC game's a big one, man. Tone setter for the 2023 season. I will say it's not maybe the do or die, but it's absolutely a tone setter.
100%, man. Well, I'll go ahead and get off of here, man. You have a good one. I'll holler at you later, man. Thanks for his up show. Go Cox, man.
Peyton, you're the man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call.
Yeah, man.
Great stuff. Great stuff from our friend Peyton. Again, guys, keep the calls coming, 843-790-3377. Michael Lynn says, Talka will have 2 rushing touchdowns. That'd be something. Mantis says, with Moby and back, how much do you think Stone Blanton plays this year? I think Stone's going to play a lot. I mean, I know that Mo Cobb is back, but you like to cycle those guys in, keep guys fresh. That's the beauty of having depth. So I think that I think Stone Blanton's going to play a good bit. I really do. I think Stone Blanton's going to play a lot. I think he's going to be a key contributor. And, that's why I said earlier, he needs to take that next step, right? He needs to go to the next level with his game. He's got the potential. He's got the talent, but, got to build off that freshman campaign. He had a season to go. So, let's see. Coach Ford says, 2 more Saturdays until the Dowell Loggins experiment begins. Showtime. Indeed, yep. A lot of pressure. Lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on Dowell Loggins to get it rolling out the gate. Lynn Turner says it's about Spurrier. Says, I know he was a great coach, but I think he's already recognized enough. I think statues should be reserved for a very select group. I think we should hang on to that one. Well, we have one statue right now, and it's of George Rogers. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think Spurrier could be deserving. I mean, he's the greatest coach in the school's history. So, Ruination says, Coach Ford waiting on that first 3 and out. Some interesting news coming from, not news, just comments coming from Spencer Rattler. This coming from David Cloninger, Post and Courier, says that Spencer Rattler feels like there's been way more explosive plays in practice at this point than last year. He's feeling great about it. They go fast at times, quote, I love it. So good news coming out of fall camp is what it sounds like. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
Robbie Davis, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just chilling at the house waiting for the heat to die down a little bit today before I go on my walk.
Very nice, my friend. Yeah, it's a scorcher out there, so be cool for sure. Drink your water.
Yeah,
be hydrated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think now, am I expecting this to happen in every single game? No, but I do think that if Dakereon Joyner is going to be the starter for week 1 at running back, I think the games where he could possibly run for a little over 100 yards is North Carolina, Furman, and Jacksonville State. So at the moment, those are the only 3 games that I think he could possibly run for 100 yards or a little more in at least those 3 games for sure.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think those would be a couple of games that'll have a great opportunity to have big time stats, no doubt. And I think Dakereon Joyner, I think, will absolutely be your starting running back when it opens up. I do. I think he's going to be that guy.
Same here, because we haven't really heard anything else. So I guess it's safe to assume that he's going to be the starting running back. Like assuming stuff, whenever you assume stuff, though, you look like the first 3 letters of assume.
Mm-hmm.
And just a quick, I know you're not an NFL guy, okay? But just hear me out. Say you are a head coach of an NFL team, okay? You got to go 80 yards. You're down by 2 points in the Super Bowl. All you got to do is go down the field 80 yards, kick a field goal, and win the Super Bowl. You only got 2 quarterbacks to choose from. Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. Who are you taking?
I am taking Tom Brady. I'm taking the GOAT.
I absolutely, I would too. There's a guy that I've become friends with while over the last while since I've been living here in the Moncks Corner area, and he swears up and down that Peyton Manning is a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would have to go with Tom Brady, man. Like I said, he's the GOAT. Once he went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl, that was it. That was it for me. That solidified his GOAT status.
And he's been to 10 Super Bowls and won 7 of them. I don't even know what the percentage number is, but that's a pretty darn good percentage.
7 out of 10 would be 70%, Robbie. 70%.
Okay. So 70% of the time he's won a Super Bowl. Okay. So yeah, that why I don't understand why he thinks that. I'm like, are you crazy? And it's like, but anyways, I definitely could see in those 3 games that Joyner runs for 100 yards or maybe even a little more. But again, we still don't know how this offensive line is going to shape up or shape out to be. So at this point, I'd say just wait until we start getting the guys that are coming in. And then also, if I was Shane Beamer the night before the game, whenever they have their team meeting, this is what I would say, and then I'm going to get off of here. I would tell every single one of those players in that team meeting, Mac Brown is the one playing the underdog, and his team is ranked. Okay? He does not respect you as players. He does not respect us as a coaching staff. He does not respect what we are building. So Saturday night, let's go into Charlotte and show them who the real Carolina is and kick their ass.
Robbie, I'm ready to run through a brick wall, my friend. We need to get you in the locker room to give the pregame speech. I don't know how we do that. Somebody's got the hookup, but every we get about this time of year, and Robbie Davis comes in a true form.
Whenever we get into the season,
comes in a true form.
I'm at mid-season form, and we ain't even at week 1 yet.
That's facts. You are indeed in mid-season form.
I would say, make them regret even traveling to Charlotte and kick their ass. And whenever Beamer and Mac Brown do their handshake, I would tell Beamer to say, "Do I have your respect yet?" Because apparently you don't respect what I'm trying to build here.
I love that, Robbie. I love that, man. I love that. We'll have to clip that. We'll have to clip that speech and get it over to Shane Beamer. I'm sure he could use it.
Yeah. But by the way, update on my brother. I'm going with Marion R26 on Friday morning, and my brother's got to go to the doctor to get his jaw looked at. But as far as I know, he's doing much better, much better than he was several weeks ago. So
glad to hear that, man.
Great sign.
Glad to hear that.
So, but that's all I got, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Robbie, I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure to hear from you. What's up?
Oh. Wait a minute. It's 2. You're not going live tomorrow, are you?
Yes, I am. 9 to noon. So we'll be live early tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Cox, and to heck with them taters.
Indeed. Robbie, well said as always, my man. I appreciate you.
You too, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. Take care. Great stuff from Robbie Davis. Great stuff from Robbie Davis as always. 843-790-3377. Guys, we take your questions, your comments, your calls. Austin Gregory, why 9 to noon tomorrow? What if I just felt like it, Austin? Nah, I'm kidding. We're going out of town, leaving about 1:30, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I need to get out a little bit earlier, actually hitting the ATL, going to the Atlanta Braves game with my guys. So we're heading out early, going to have us a day, but obviously did not want to skip out on TDC. We've got content to distribute. We got things to talk about. We've got preseason chatter to wrap up. So we're going to do that early in the morning. And again, that's the beauty, though, of TDC is we can be flexible with this thing. We can move it. We could go late. We can go early. We can go whenever we need. And so tomorrow will be one of those days, 9 a.m. to noon. We'll be rocking bright and early on the show tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Get your coffee, Austin Gregory. Get your coffee. Get what you need. Bring the questions. Bring the heat. Our Q&A Power Hour most likely going to be in our second hour because Chris Marler will join us, I believe, at 11:15. He should be joining us. So that second hour, that 10:05-ish, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, that'll be for you guys. Coach Ford, not waiting on a 3 and out, just ready to see what Bill Parcells sent us by refusing to hire him himself. Coach Ford, when did that happen with Dabble Loggins? I'm confused about that. Chase Floyd says, if Robbie was in the locker room giving a speech, we'd lose an average of 5 players in the portal per speech. Attaboy, Chase. Hey, that was a great speech. Hey, Robbie had me fired up. Ready to go. Jacob E. says, Drake May is getting a little too much love. He didn't perform all that well in the games at the end of the season. Just put up monster stats in a terrible ACC. Jacob, you may be right. You might be right. South Carolina will have the opportunity to prove you correct in week 1. So you can say all you want. It's up to South Carolina's defense to prove that to be true. Austin Gregory, no invite to the Braves game, no BCC section. Austin, I have power, not that much power, though, my friend. I don't have that much power. Austin Gregory, outside of getting a score, what are you hoping to see out of Loggins' first ever play calling drive in college football? First ever drive, get the ball to our playmakers. That's it, man. That's it. I want to see a comfortable Spencer Rattler getting the football to the playmakers. That's it. Just get the ball to your best players. Let Spencer Rattler go make plays. Outside of that, yes, go score. Go score. You don't have to score a touchdown in the first, series of the game for it to be successful. You don't have to. You don't even have to score, but yes, much less of the check with me, the confusion, the swing passes, and more aggressive, taking shots, playing free, playing loose. More of that for sure. So we'll see. Cannot wait to break it down. Brew Nation, screen pass on first play just for shits and giggles. I hear you, man. Dabble Loggins should run a swing pass just to troll us all in the first play of the game. Can you imagine? Dabble Loggins, first play against UNC, swing pass. Can you imagine that? Gain of a yard. People would lose their collective minds if that were to take place. Lose their collective minds. All right, guys, we're going to jump into a quick break. On the other side, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, your comments, your calls, and more here on this Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge, where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. Daily Crow is also sponsored by Rhine Law Firm, LLC, principally managed by James R. Rhine Jr., located at 1350 Ashley River Road, Suite 650, Charleston, South Carolina, 29407, serving the greater Charleston area.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023, as we continue along with the Q&A Power Hour. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. Marion R26 says, buy or sell the first play as a pass of at least 15 or more yards. Marion, I will sell. I think the first play of the season is going to be a run. a run. Coach Ford says this. Supposedly, Beamer talked to Parcells, and Parcells says he's a great coach. Remember the disrespectful exchange with Shane and the Post and Courier guy. I remember the exchange very well, very vividly, Coach Ford. I still don't recall, though, Bill Parcells declining him the job. I don't know. Austin, I talked about a couple of these. My boldest take for the 2023 Gamecocks. My boldest take, Austin, Lenore Sellers will start a game at quarterback this year. That's my bold take. My boldest take, I would say. Guys, Spencer Rattler with some very interesting comments regarding the Gamecocks offense. He had this to say, quote, "This is the best camp I've been a part of. Offensively, I love what we're doing. I don't feel any growing pains myself." So, take it for what it's worth. Spencer Rattler feeling good in fall camp. And then you got to love the Sidney Fugar comment, quote, "No prisoners. Nobody is touching my quarterback." Love to see it. Guys, although we will not be live on TDC next week, the podcast will drop, and we'll also be dropping gambling content. My friends over at MyBookie actually just sent over their ad read that you will hear on every single show moving forward beginning next Monday. But we'll start giving out gambling plays, gambling predictions. We'll start handing those out literally next week. So, going to be a lot of fun here. Let's see. They gave us the ad read, but no promo code. Didn't realize that. Okay. So they're going to give us a promo code, it looks like. You get a deposit bonus. Here we go. I'm actually reading through this ad read live with you all. Go to mybookie.ag now. Register for an account free. When you're ready to make your first deposit, use promo code, whatever it is, to grab a welcome bonus on the house. Promo code, whatever, claim your deposit bonus for a limited time. A free chip to use the MyBookie casino. Doesn't say how much, though. It doesn't say how much, but you do get a bonus. You do get a bonus. So, River Nation says you got to go live from Yellowstone. Yeah, in case you missed it, we will be in Montana next week. I cannot wait, man. I think this is going to be a great trip. And I tell you what, Brewer Nation, this might be a trip that this might have to be like a yearly thing, assuming, and I think this trip obviously is going to go really, really well. This could be a yearly thing where it's like, you know what, you do all your preseason content. We do all of our stuff with the preseason, what have you. And then that week before, you just take off, whether it would be this week or next week or what have you. Like having a week to kind of just decompress, relax, kick back, if you will, reset the mind, reset the energy, and then go into the season, I think could be very beneficial. So I'm excited for it, man. Excited to spend time with family and also see the great sights. And, you know, again, we're still going to be publishing content. The podcast is going to drop every single day. We'll have plenty of graphics coming out, all that good stuff. But I'm going to really try to detach. I'm going to really try to detach. Really, truly. Brewer Nation says, Chris, over under 35 a game on offense and 24 a game on defense. I will go under 35 a game, and I forget what my predictions. I think slightly over. Slightly over. So under 35 a game, over 24 a game. I think South Carolina's around 31 per game, 30 to 31. I think I had 29 actually in my predictions. 29 points per game, right at about 30 on offense. And then defensively, I've got South Carolina at like 26 or 27 points per game. So I think Carolina is very similar to what they were last year. I really do. I think South Carolina is going to be very, very similar. Whether that means 8 wins again, maybe it means 7, maybe it means 6, what have you. So I think that I think they're very similar, though. I do. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. See all these different college football teams rolling out new uniforms and all that, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate we sit here with no new uniforms, no uniforms to speak of. So it's unfortunate. I would love to see South Carolina roll out new unis. How about Florida going with the all black uniforms? Man, if Carolina don't wear black to some capacity this year, what is going on, man? Why not one game? You know what I mean? Like, one game, let's rock all black. All black is not making you lose a football game. Stop it. Stop it. Wearing all black is not making anybody lose a football game. So let's bring it back, and it's a great look. It's a great look. Marinar 26, my bookie with who? I don't know what you're talking about. My bookie is a gambling website, Marinar 26. I don't know if you are familiar with it or not, but it is a gambling website. I don't know who that Raphael, whatever it is. Coach Ford says UF in black is stupid. That's what I'm saying, though. It's not even – I mean, I think Coach Ford, it comes from the baseball side of things. They've been wearing black in baseball, and it looks pretty good. But that's what I'm saying. Like, black's not even in their color scheme. And yet they're forcing it. They're making it happen. South Carolina, we have black and don't even wear it. Like, it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. Jacoby, we need a redesign of the unis and a new provider. You know, Jacoby, I'd be fine with it. I'm at the point, man. South Carolina's on year 16 of Under Armour. I'd be more than happy to change up. I really would. I would love to see South Carolina finally just cave and go to Nike. I really would. I really, really, really would. Andy Rossway said that's a sick hat. Thank you, Andy. Our friends over at University Traditions, they've got this hat available, so go check it out. They've got this hat available. Really good stuff. I appreciate them sending this over. Again, guys, phone lines open, 843-790-3377. Are you guys excited for week 0 or not? Are you looking forward to week 0? Are you looking forward to watching Vanderbilt football, Vandy, Hawaii? Are you guys excited for that at all? Or is week 0 just going to be another week for you where it drags on and you count down the days to Gamecocks football? Because I am excited for that. I mean, like I said, guys, next week, I don't know exactly when I'm going to do it, but my plan is to talk the entire SEC. That's what we're going to be doing, right? We're going to talk a lot more SEC content than we ever have. So I've still got to sit down and put together the content schedule for game week, kind of what that looks like. I probably say Monday will be the most kind of random days because we'll be, breaking down everything the week that was and talking about all the games that happened, of course, talking the South Carolina game. Really, guys, though, maybe Tuesday we keep the convo going, but by Wednesday, we're getting into our best bets of the weekend, our prize picks, plays of the weekend. We're getting into talking the entire SEC slate that's upcoming because, of course, we're going to have some games on Thursday, so we want to get ahead of those. And then Thursday, man, we'll start getting into game preview stuff, key matchups, position unit battles, if you will, position unit comparison. And then Friday, probably do my prediction. We'll probably save the prediction for Friday yet again, and some other last-minute things as well. So, and then predictions for all the SEC games also. Going to be a lot of fun. So, really excited for it, guys. Looking forward to it. Game week is going to be absolutely electric. I mean, it's going to be electric. Week in, week out. Really excited for it. In the meantime, we've got preseason NFL. to hold us over. Many of you probably doing fantasy football drafts. I'm actually in one fantasy football league. I'm doing no more than that, though. Last year, I got really excited for the season. I got really pumped for the season. I jumped in like 3 different leagues, a pick'em league here, a pick'em league there. And, dude, by midseason, I was like, that was so stupid, and I'm just burning money because I literally do not have the time, the energy, anything of the sort to invest into this. Anything of the sort. So, I'm in one fantasy football league. We've got our college football pick'em. We got our pick'em group. You want to join? I believe the group name is Beamer Ball to the Moon. That's on ESPN, that college pick'em group, Beamer Ball to the Moon. Let's play a fun hypothetical game, guys, since we're sitting here. Oh, here we go. Let's jump to the phone lines first. Here we go.
Call from
Dave Garrett.
Dave, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Burning up, man. It's brutal out here. I'm glad you're in the AC.
I'm glad as well.
Chris, I can see Sampson kind of falling into a Wes Welker type. A lot of people are picking Leggett to have a breakout year. I'm going to go with Blake. And then the other comment I had was, with the terrible way that we were strung along with Doty's injury and stuff, I don't blame Carolina fans for being upset. Because like I put in the BCC, you know, a lower body injury probably means the legs hanging just by a thread. But stay cool, man, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Dave, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the call. He says Omega Blake, which I would agree. Hey, there's great things coming out of fall camp. Spencer Rattler mentioned today Omega Blake had a 75-yard touchdown reception in their scrimmage on Saturday. So, yeah, it sounds like really good things are coming out of camp about Omega Blake. Maybe he's a guy that can make a big impact this season for sure. Landon Sampson, right? Landon Sampson, maybe that, maybe he's a guy that can emerge. And, we heard good things about recruiting. Maybe he can live up to that. And then, the Juice Wells thing, I'll say this. I'll say this because it's so funny. Like, I know we have some folks, especially in the Discord, that just love to give me crap and all that. That's totally fine. Hey, listen, that's what I'm here for. It's what I'm in that position, is what it is. And it's so funny because I said literally a day or two before the scrimmage, and I wasn't taking a shot at Beamer or I was literally just a lighthearted, funny thing on Twitter. Odds that Shane Beamer gives a doom and gloom speech after the scrimmage on Saturday because of the chatter on social media. Oh, Trey Knox, is he hurt? What's going on with Trey Knox? What's up with this? What's up with that? And it's like anytime something like that happens, Beamer is so in touch with the social media side of things. Like Shane Beamer knows the exact mood of the fan base at all times. I really believe that. Like, Shane Beamer sees it all. They see it all. Every single thing that, folks in the fan base are saying or feeling or what have you. So I lightheartedly just made that joke. Oh, here comes the doom and gloom speech. Let's rally the troops, whatever. And the Juice Wells thing. And the DEFCON 3 comments. Like, listen, it is a very normal thing to be concerned about the status of one of your best players, especially when you hear the rumors and you hear the things that I heard about his status. And, I mean, guys, let's look back at what Shane Beamer said after Saturday, or what he said on Saturday. He said that, basically, this is what he said. I'm going to paraphrase. This is what he said. Juice told me he's going to play. And based off of how hard of a worker he is, I believe him. Guys, that's not exactly like a doctor said that he should be cleared or, this is happening, so this is going to happen. Like, That's not exactly the most reassuring thing in the world. So if you don't think this Juice Wells thing is a storyline, it absolutely is. Now, he very well could play week 1, and it might be a smokescreen in the sense of there's no chance of him missing the first game, but like it's very much a storyline because your best player is not practicing right now. Your best player is not on the field. So, I don't think anybody's acting like it's DEFCON 3 and let's blow up the season, cancel the season, what have you. But, I mean, I'm not going to apologize for being a little bit nervous if Juice Wells, we get game week and it's Tuesday presser time and Shane Beamer says, well, he's questionable. We don't know. Like, that's not a great position to be in. So we'll see. We'll see. We got a long way to go, but what we do know is that Juice Wells is not practicing this week. And, we'll have to just kind of see what that means for, what that means for Carolina moving forward and what it means for the offense and what it means for week 1 specifically. So, let's see. Austin Gregory says college or NFL fantasy. I do NFL. I've never been a really big college football fantasy guy. I don't know. That hasn't really moved the needle for me. I don't know. Austin Gregory, forget the colors. Just redo the damn font, for goodness sake. I mean, I agree. Yeah, I don't know why Under Armour, why they implore on us using that stupid tiny print font. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I know folks get tired of talking about uniforms, but hey, I love some good uniform chatter. I really do. But I would love to see South Carolina get off of Under Armour, be honest with you. So I would love to see it. Let's see. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Sidney Fugar calls Yale transfer offensive lineman Nick Gargiulo, quote, the heart and soul of the offensive line. How about that? Heart and soul of the offensive line. We'll see, man. We'll see. Brad Crawford, final SEC record predictions. He's got South Carolina 7-5, 4-4 in the SEC. Let's see. Who are the wins and losses? Let's get to it. So Brad Crawford's got South Carolina again 7-5, 4-4. How about a loss to North Carolina? This is updated, I think. I don't think he had this. Wow. Okay, so this is. Wow, okay. Here are the final record predictions for every SEC team during the 2023 season based on schedule favorability, roster talent, and inside information. So this is Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. He's got the Gamecocks 7-5, 4-4. Loss to UNC. Win over Furman. Loss at Georgia. Win against Mississippi State. Loss at Tennessee. Win against Florida. Loss at Mizzou. Loss at A&M. Win over Jacksonville State. Win over Vandy. Win over Kentucky. And a win over Clemson. So Brad Crawford has the Gamecocks taking down Clemson, but losing to UNC to go 7-5, 4-4 in SEC play. He says this about the Gamecocks in a short excerpt. The Gamecocks have a point to prove in September after failing to appear in both the preseason coaches and AP rankings this month. The opener against UNC is a toss-up in Charlotte, and the SEC opener at Georgia in Week 3 brings heavy interest nationally. Then there's a trip to Neyland Stadium to close the first month. Will South Carolina be able to rebound if it starts 2-3 over its first 5 games? That stretch is brutal, and this is one of the nation's most challenging slates. Also, will the Gamecocks break their hex against Missouri? They've lost 4 in a row against the Tigers. So, very interesting predictions from our friend Brad Crawford. Lost to UNC to open it up, a 2-3 start, but 4 straight wins down the stretch to go 7-5. Very, very interesting. Guys, that being said, we'll jump into one final break. On the other side, we'll close out the show in style here on this Tuesday. You're tuned in to The Daily Crow. The Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at Carolina Cigars. Carolina Cigars has been in operation since 2008, recently taken over by the Peterson family in 2020. Whether you're new to the cigar scene or whether you've been enjoying cigars your entire life, Carolina Cigars has the expertise and knowledge to make your visit to their shop enjoyable. Stop by for a fine cigar and experience their classic cigar lounge where people come together, share conversations, and become friends. So if you're into cigars and you're on Hilton Head Island, you really do need to go by and see them. They offer same-day shipping nationwide, free delivery island-wide for weddings and all special occasions. They're also proud to offer premium cigars at 9 outside humidor locations around Hilton Head Island, and they have special events throughout the year as well. They want to talk to you. They want to engage. They want to share with you their cigar selection they're very proud of and their beautiful cigar lounge. When you're in the Low Country, there's only one place for cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, and there's only one place I get my cigars. That's Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island's premier cigar merchant. Come and share your passion. It's all here at Carolina Cigars. Give them a follow on Instagram at Carolina_cigars, or give them a call today at 843-681-8600. That's 843-681-8600. Smoke them if you got them, and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent ya. Daily Crow is also sponsored by Rhine Law Firm, LLC, principally managed by James R. Rhine Jr., located at 1350 Ashley River Road, Suite 650, Charleston, South Carolina, 29407, serving the greater Charleston area.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back. Final 10 minutes or so here in the Daily Crow, taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Austin Gregory says, bold prediction. Our leading receiver is not named Juice Wells. Is it like storming out? Like, what is going on? Wow, it is nasty outside, folks. I felt some wind. I was like, what is going on? Austin, if it's not Juice Wells, who is it? That's totally fine. Because I said that as well earlier, if you go back and listen. If it's not Juice Wells, who's it going to be? I would say probably Xavier Legette. Xavier Legette or Nick Harbor. But again, that's why it's called a bold take, right? It's probably not likely to happen, but, you know. Anyways, guys, we have concluded our position unit preview series talking linebackers. Tomorrow, we'll get into defensive backs. That'll take up Wednesday and Thursday. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll conclude the position unit preview series as a whole, talking kickers and punters. It feels like the position unit preview series, it feels like it's been going on for quite a while now. I don't know if you guys would agree, but I mean, it's about a 4-week thing. It's about a 4-week thing we do with the position unit preview series. So give you guys more of an in-depth breakdown of the football team. And I love doing it too, because I mean, you know, we talk about this every day, but I learn a lot. I learn a lot going through the team, and you go through the roster, and you're like, oh, yeah, what about that guy? What about this guy? And, you know, you really brush up on everything going into kickoff, if you will. So, you know, but I'm excited to conclude on Friday and really put a pin in the preseason and get into in-season content. Really looking forward to it, guys. Also, do not forget, Peyton Smith says, beat Clem sucks. Do not forget, tonight at 7 o'clock, the final regular season game of the season simulation series will take place as we take on the Clemson Tigers. 7 o'clock right here on YouTube. And I'm going to make sure that the College Ball Revamp Mob, we're going to reinstall it, make sure everything is good to go so we don't have any bugs, any glitches, any freezing going on, what have you. I'm proud to say that Coach C. Philly is officially off the hot seat. We got up off the hot seat. Late season winning streak. Thank you. No congratulations is needed, but I got a big one tonight. Against Clemson. Going to be a lot of fun to watch that simulation, and hope you guys will join us at 7 o'clock. Get this, Vandy's official capacity at First Bank Stadium for 2023, 28,500, according to a campus source. That comes from our guy Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 on Twitter. 28,500. Tiny. Brennan M. says in the Big Cock Club Discord, no, you're fired if we lose to Clem sucks. Not a chance, Brennan. Not even you can spin that in a way that makes sense. Not even you can. Brennan. I talked to Ray Tanner. My job is safe. Marion R26, what's the most yards DK has ran for? What do you mean? Like in his career? Like in a game? Let's see. Coach Ford says, we have no idea. Loggins is an unknown. Brewer Nation says, Loggins will have us top 50 in offense. Coach Ford says, Hope so, Bruin. We have no reason to expect it as of August 15th, 2023 at 3:04 Eastern. You know what's funny, too? I mentioned Coach Ford, and I'm so glad Coach Ford is here. Coach Ford, I think Coach Ford has been commenting, and I've been going back and forth with Coach Ford. Coach Ford, it's been like since the 2021 season, I think. I think it's literally been since year one of Beamer for sure. Might even go back to 2020. I don't know if it goes back that far, but definitely 2021. Definitely 2021. And that makes me think too, like, bro, you think about like how many TDCs we've rocked. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. I mean, we've gone live every day, damn near, with, I mean, very limited breaks. Really since like late September of 2020 or maybe early September. Wild. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. Really, it's crazy. So we've come a long way, guys, and it's because of you, your love, your support, man, across the business, whether it be the merchandise, tuning in the podcast, engaging on social media, what have you. Truly do appreciate it. So truly appreciate it, man. It's the heights we're reaching with TSUS, the things we're doing, the path that we're on, the journey we're on, where we're going. It could not be possible without you guys. So Coach Ford says, I'm passive during baseball. I like watching, but I'm not a big fan. Coach Ford, I totally understand. I mean, listen, I get it. Listen, the numbers jump up big time when the college football season hits. I mean, even right now, I would say that, the numbers are going to significantly increase. Like we get to game week and you're going to see those numbers. You're going to see people that have not tuned in a TDC in quite some time that will be in. But I mean, that's the beauty of it, man. That's truly the beauty of it. I remember last year we got up to like 200, 250 people tuned in live at one point last year. It was crazy. Crazy. So excited for this season, man. It's going to be our biggest and best season yet. The fact that we can go into the season and say that, again, it's just a testament to you guys, your love, your support, and thank you all so much for making this possible, man. Excited to see also what happens the rest of fall camp, follow all those storylines, what have you. John Edwards says, I'm here whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, not a one-sport guy, unlike some people. Well, I appreciate that, John Edwards. Appreciate that truly. Brewer Nation said earlier, LLC, let Loggins cook. Love that. Hunter Johnson, why does everybody have a hard on for black uniforms? Do you not think black uniforms are awesome, my guy? I think they are. I think they look good. I mean, me personally, I love black merchandise. So, I mean, of course I love black uniforms. I think the black unis are clean, they're crisp. I'm not saying wear the black unis every game, but like we didn't wear black once last year. Did not wear it once. We wore black helmets, but not black unis. I don't know why. Gavin says, do you think that Spencer's the highest rated quarterback to come out of high school in Innovate, South Carolina? I've actually heard that Todd Ellis, there's an argument there that he was like the top guy like in the country, and he went to South Carolina. But yes, in the modern recruiting era with stars and team rankings and all that, in the modern recruiting era, yes, Spencer Rattler is the highest rated prospect to come to South Carolina. Quarterback prospect, for sure. For sure. I mean, guys, think about it this way. The Gamecocks have never recruited and signed a 5-star quarterback. Gunnar Stockton was going to be the first one. They've never signed a 5-star quarterback. So I think by default, Spencer Rattler is the highest rated quarterback to come out of high school and end up at Carolina. I absolutely think so. So, guys, that being said, we've hit 3 o'clock. Hey, thank you all so much again, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications when we drop new video content and when we go live as well. And also, of course, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast, dropping daily, 5 p.m. Eastern on all of those entities that I just mentioned. Guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.